Good afternoon. Welcome to the third episode of Chatting with Sam and Dave. I'm Dave.
And I'm Sam.
And this afternoon we have the privilege of having Suraya Williams, a seasoned entrepreneur, as a guest for us, and she'll talk about her entrepreneurial journey. So welcome, Suraya.
Thank you, Dave. And
Welcome.
Thank you, Sam.
It's nice to have another lady at the table.
When I say
that's
your
for
name,
sure.
I always think about the movie I Am Sam.
Suraya, so once again, welcome.
Thank you.
And we're going to be asking all kinds of questions, and we look forward to you sharing your entrepreneurial journey, which is quite an exciting one. So I'm going to kick off, if I may.
Yes.
Tell us where Design 26 comes from and how you actually started the journey with that company.
Oh, it's a long journey. It's a roller coaster journey. It's definitely a good roller coaster. Something similar to going to Ratanga Junction. It all started with my late mom. And she was a dressmaker. She worked in the clothing manufacturing industry. And I was very close to her. And she always used to say, if I stood next to her, if I was around her doing her work, she always used to say, I want you to do this one day. And I wasn't seeing the big picture at the time, because the same time when she was like telling me to do this, all the clothing manufacturing companies, or most of them, closed down in Cape Town. She was also retrenched, forced to stay at home and start her own CMT business. And she wanted me to do this. And I had big ideas and big dreams for myself, and I scoffed at that idea. I pursued a career in corporate for 14 years. And then my mom contracted yellow jaundice, and within weeks, all her organs gave in. Oh, wow. And she sadly passed away on my birthday, which is the name Design 26, or where the name stems from, Design 26.
Your birthday's on the 26th?
On the 26th of January, and it's also the day that she passed away. And that left me with a lot of questions, obviously. And the first thing we do is we question God, why? And obviously I didn't get my answers, at least I thought at the time. And then 3 months after she passed away, my youngest brother, he was killed because he was a state witness and to some crime that was committed in our area. And that just left me, down and out. I just couldn't get over these two losses so quickly after each other within the same year and 3 months apart. And I had 2 kids at the time and working in corporate, earning money, very happy. And when I lost my mom and my brother, I thought, okay, maybe I must have another baby. Maybe that'll take my pain away, it'll keep me occupied. And I had another baby, and he was born sick, in and out of hospital. That interfered with corporate, because in corporate they want you to show up every day. Mm-hmm. And I was battling between trying to be a mom, looking after a baby, trying to deal with my emotions of losing 2 close family members, and it just didn't go well. And during one of the times when I was at home with my baby, my cousin came to me, because I obviously inherited 2 sewing machines from my late mom. And it was standing in the garage, accumulating dust. My husband was it's taking up space, sell it, give it away. And I was like, no, just leave it. I want to give it to someone who's going to, appreciate it. And during one of the times when I was at home with my baby, my cousin came to me, and her daughter was going to be 21, and she was looking for me to make a 21st dress. And she came to me and she asked me, can't I make this dress? And I said, no, I can't make dresses. And she's like, no, man, but your mom used to make clothes for the family, and you've got the machines. It's like, giving someone a toy or a new phone, and you automatically expect they must be able to work with it.
Mm. Yeah.
And I said no. She didn't take no for an answer. She left the packet. And this packet was laying there. I was going to work every day, doing what I have to do, and baby gets sick again. Then I'm in hospital with him again. And one Saturday morning, time was coming closer. This packet was looking at me, and I thought to myself, maybe I must give it a try. If I do mess it up, she can't say I did tell her I didn't know how. Took the fabric out of the packet. I took out all of my mom's equipment that I had. I told my oldest son, help me with the machine out of the garage. And I took newspaper, sellotaped it together, and I told her to bring the daughter over because I want to take measurements. And with everything I grew up seeing my mother doing, I kind of put all of that in place, and I managed to finish this dress. And that's where it all started.
Wow. Okay.
Because when I finished that dress, I looked at it and I felt so overwhelmed. It felt like an outer body experience because I myself couldn't believe that I made that dress. And I then, they came to fetch the dress and they were happy. And I could see that there was like little flaws on the dress, but they were happy. And I was happy, and it was, one of those freebies for families, so they couldn't care. And I continued going back to work. But ever since I made that dress, every day going to work and coming back home, there was this something inside of me that said, do this.
Okay.
Start making clothes. Follow what your mom wanted you to do. But on the other side, again, in my head, I was telling myself, you are an independent woman. You need yourself independence, financially. I don't want to be dependent on a man. And I've been working for so long. I was brought up in a house where if you want something, you go work for it and you work hard.
Yeah.
And so I was fighting with this feelings, this emotion that I had. And one day, I said to my husband, I came from work and I cried. And he asked me, what's wrong, what's going on? And I said to him, I want to start a clothing manufacturing business or my own label. I've got a fly here. I don't know if he likes my perfume or...
Muggie floating
He's
around.
done his rounds here by me as well.
So you chased him to me?
Some angry energy.
Now it's come to me. I think it's taking turns. It's taking turns. Okay, nice use. Okay, well, at least it's gone from you now. Yeah.
So then I said to him, Yusuf, I want to start a clothing label. And he looked at me and he said, but do you know how to sew? I said, no, I don't know how to sew, but I made, my cousin's dress, and surely I can try. And I think at the time when I said that to him, he thought that it was just too much for me at work. And losing my mom and my brother. So he saw it as almost like an excuse for me to leave my job. And he said, if you want to stay at home, I don't mind. You can stay at home. He didn't say start your business.
Okay.
And I then went in and I resigned. And my bosses didn't accept my resignation. They offered me more money. I thought, okay, well, why not? Maybe I need more money. Who doesn't need more money? I accepted the money. 3 months down the line, I was back at their desks again, and I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do, and so please accept it. And they let me go.
When was that? How far back ago?
That was in 2013.
Okay.
January 2013, the 31st of January 2013 was my last day in the office. I still contracted conjunctivitis, and I went to work trying to train the next person with this conjunctivitis. And, the very next day, I was on the website of SIPC registering a business.
Okay.
And the one advantage that I had was because I worked in corporate for an audit and accounting firm, I knew how to register a business. I knew how to keep my finances, my personal finances, separate from my business finances, to keep record of every transaction that I make within my business, and not to mix business with pleasure, go to KFC with your business card. And no, I knew from the start that this is how it has to be done, and that's how I did it.
It's a good discipline, that's for sure, yeah.
Yes. So I registered Design 26, and I started selling my clothing, started local flea markets, Old Mutual Flea Market, the Blauklippen Flea Market, and I was selling all of my garments out. And then I realized, okay, something is not adding up here. I'm selling and everything is gone, but I'm not making any money. But during the first 2 years also of running my business and selling out all of my products, I also donated a dress to a young girl in Mitchell's Plain who finished matric for her matric dance. So every year, at the end of the year, I would put on Facebook, we make dresses and I would like to donate a dress to a girl in Mitchell's Plain. I did that, and then for the 2 years while running this business and not making any money, I then realized, okay, I definitely don't know how to run a business. I know how to work in corporate.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you
Yes.
because we want to actually get the processes that you went through. Because we talked about, I think the second podcast, and the first and second podcast, that what it takes to be an entrepreneur, okay, and the pitfalls and how to overcome those pitfalls. So we quite emphatic that one needs mentors and along the way. So when you started out in the beginning, did you align yourself with a mentor, or you just went out there and
I didn't even know
because that, when you say that you were selling everything out and not making money, that's where mentors come into play, where you can go and say, listen, this is what's going on,
Yes.
and I'm not making any money, and you can actually. So did you?
I didn't even know when I started a business that there is something called a mentor.
You see, that's
Seriously.
the thing. That's Sam. I think that's the biggest problem that people have.
Awareness.
Awareness that there are such
Yes.
people that provide.
The
this kind of
perception
service.
is, I think, sorry to
Yes.
cut you short. The perception is, I think, that you do it on your own and you're on your own. And you either make it or break it. And that's actually so untrue, because you need so much support all around. Mentors, family, your partner. I mean, first of all, he was in agreement that you could, step out of corporate. If that wasn't there, I mean, it would have just been a fight from the beginning.
Yes.
Yes, and I know you shared with me that your husband was completely supportive.
Still.
on
Wow,
the thing.
that's amazing.
And that is share with us.
Okay, so the husband or the mentor thingy, because
No, well,
sometimes
the
he's my
mentor you
mentor
said-
even, he is even
okay,
because
okay.
I love that. He
About
works,
that. Yes,
Yeah.
about
he
that.
works for one of the bigger retailers, and he is a manager during the night, and he deals with staff. And like sometimes I don't know how to deal with my staff, or I don't know
Yes.
how to reprimand them, and then I'll ask him, and he'll say to me, okay, you can't just do that, hey, you need to take this step first, and you need to do that, and then you must make sure that you have evidence, so if anything goes wrong, you have proof.
So he was a mentor then.
So yes, but like when I started, I didn't even know that there was something like a mentor. It was just me and Design 26 and my passion and my skill. And then 2 years down the line, and I then got into the University of Stellenbosch because they were offering a small business management course. And that was actually where I learned all about running a business. Before you can be charitable, you need to be profitable. The financing side of it wasn't like new for me, because I knew how to manage my finances, like marketing. I used to think also in the beginning that posting on Facebook is bragging.
Okay.
Versus marketing.
Yes, like if I did something or I achieved something when I was in corporate, I would never put anything much on Facebook, because after Facebook it came, Instagram, and now TikTok and all of that became. But when in 2013, Facebook was the platform. And for me, I didn't even know that there was a certain time during the day that you can go and check also which posts are doing good and what time during the day and what day of the week you should be posting. And those were all the things that I learned through
that course.
Through the University of Stellenbosch's small business management course. presentation skills, how to pitch your business, what to say, how to stand, how to dress.
In fact, Sam and I decided that we're going to do exactly that. We're going to be doing one of our podcasts where we tell people how to pitch. How to Sam?
Yes, how to present and articulate your business to the extent of like you securing that funding. Like we said, you tell us your story. Not every investor has an hour to listen to, your founding story. But at the end of the day, I think entrepreneurs need to see the nitty-gritty and hear exactly what you are speaking.
Yes.
Because I think really just we need to unpack the journey of successful entrepreneurs. Elon Musk, case in point again. I heard for the first time from Dave, because I'd not read the book, that he didn't have rent money, and in fact he doesn't own a home.
The other day, and he borrowed money to pay his rent. I watched you guys the other day.
See. But listen, just getting back to your husband supporting you. Just share how that looks like.
Okay, so it was almost like everything was just meant to be at the time when I left my job, because he worked during the day and I was working during the day. And when that transition came with me starting my business, he applied to work night shift.
Wow.
Same position, but then I don't want to mention the name because just
don't mention.
So
unless they're going to sponsor us in the future, then we can mention that, but not now.
So, they also went into the transition where they were trying to close down on the traffic that's on the road during the day with the big trucks and stuff. So they were taking on night shift staff to pack the shelves and to make sure that everything is nice and clean when customers come in the morning, because before, you would get your customers coming in and there would be 10 people sitting in the aisle packing the stuff on the shelf. So, but it was like during that time, when I started my business, he applied for night shift. He then started working night shift. All three of my kids were still at school. My eldest son was 15 years old at the time. And he would then help me because I needed to empower myself with knowledge on how to run this business, because yes, it's all good and well that I was born with this skill and I had the passion, but I didn't know from a bar of soap,
Sure.
how to get. And one of the things that was difficult, not difficult, that he actually helped with and understood was when I needed to go to meetings, when I needed to go to a simple networking function that didn't maybe seem viable at the time or the reason why I'm going, he would allow me to go with the faith that, you're going there for your business. And it's and it took me also to make him feel secure that, I'm not going there for the party's sake, but I'm going there even if I'm meeting one person in that room.
Oh, it's worthwhile.
That can contribute to my contacts on my phone. Then it's growing my business, and he understood that.
So you would agree, because we state in our last podcast that if your life partner is not supportive of you being in business, you shouldn't even try to start a business.
No.
You agree with that?
100%.
Yeah. So he basically made quite a sacrifice working at night.
Up until today, like if I go to any function, and I normally start my supper at about 5 o'clock, and then he leaves at 6 o'clock. He eats and then he leaves. If I don't make it back, 'cause traffic or, whatever reason, he will eat an egg. And my children too. They don't care. They love McDonald's, or they go and do whatever. He picks the kids up. He will, and now my eldest son, he can drive. He's got his own car. If we need to do, I ask him, I'll say to him, go buy me fabric, go do me this, go do that, go. So it's not just your husband. It is your whole family, your immediate family that's in your house. They need to also share in that emotion.
Yes, because the whole family gets involved.
Is affected.
It's the same with you, Sam, isn't it? I mean, you've got
I can
two
relate
kids.
to so much of what you're saying, because I got divorced and then started my own company. So I was running around, picking up kids and going to meetings and network functions and all of that, and coming home and going, how did this day happen?
Yeah.
So I can relate to what you're saying. But you actually mentioned something very important now. I think the conversation's flowing nicely. I know we kind of just jumped in there.
Yeah, we always jump in because Suraya just will carry on the whole hour because she's so passionate about it. Yeah.
I mean,
but there's some information that we want to get out of you.
I had these questions from when you started that have just gone out the window. But networking, how important was that to the growth and success of your business? Because I also found I needed to network quite a lot. And also reassure my family I'm not going there because it looks like you're going off to a party and leaving the kids behind.
No.
So I got that support from them. But how important was networking in terms of building your business, what you did back then and sowed back then and reaping now? Could you maybe give us a...
It's so important because when you are that small, you are your brand.
Yes.
And we don't have the money to advertise it on the TV like Coca-Cola and McDonald's. So what do? You need to take the brand to the people. And in my case, I would dress up in a dress that I've made. And to network, not just then, continuously throughout your entrepreneurship journey, you need to network because you always need people.
It's so important.
You need to imprint that brand name into everyone's head. And I've seen a quote, I don't know who said it, but work until you don't have to introduce yourself anymore. And until that has happened, you need to continue going to any party, any network function, anything.
Yeah.
And if you get a chance, you put in your brand's name. Even if they're talking about their kids, you still mention something about your brand.
Talking about making your own dresses, okay, please share with us what you did for Alan Windy's wife.
Okay, so the Premier, him and his whole cabinet, I think it was 2019 or 2018, one of these years, I'm not sure, 2019 I think, yes, February. They came around to areas of Mitchell's Plain to come and find out what the effect of load shedding, which we're still in, has, and I'm hoping tonight we're going to be surprised. So they came around to come and assess the effects that load shedding had on small businesses, and our ward councillor brought the Premier to my place, and the Premier wanted to know about my business, how I started, and that is what I did. I told him, and he was obviously impressed. And, even you can see it, even the Premier, his wife supports him. So in any business, yes, he's in politics, but in any industry or anything that you are doing, if you don't have that connection and that support from your partner.
Yeah.
So he obviously went home and he told his wife about my beautiful business, because I always say that it is situated in the United States of Mitchell's Plain.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Okay.
So he obviously went and he told his wife about my business, and she needed a dress for the soper, and she contacted me, and she came to me without him being with her, without an escort, like a normal person, because sometimes we also are scared to engage people because we think that they have certain titles, and that is what I'm learning now, is don't be afraid. And play small. So he brought his wife came to me, and even the deputy speaker at the time, it was Beverly Schaefer.
Yes.
So they came on different occasions, but it was for the same year and the same occasion.
Did you do her dress as well?
Yes, it was a leopard print dress with a small bolero jacket, like a creamish jacket. Okay. So they both came on separate occasions, and I made their dresses, and the Premier's wife and the Deputy Speaker wore those two dresses at the SOPA.
And he mentioned to you at SOPA.
That's quite an achievement.
Yeah,
really.
And he mentioned
that is
to you.
amazing.
He mentioned you from SOPA, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Because I think it was also important for the audience, because so often, not everybody is watching the news and not everybody is following what the politicians do. And you often get people saying, the government doesn't support us, the government doesn't give us this, the government doesn't give us that. The government can give you to a certain limit, The rest you need to go and do. I always say, you can't, it's the same in religion. If you give out one finger, God gives you the rest back. If you get up and you get dressed and you show up, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You can't sit at home in Mitchell's Plain
and hope
saying,
for the best.
I have a dream.
Yeah.
My foundation slogan is dream it possible. Because you can't, it's nice to dream. I have lots of dreams. But I need to make it, possible.
And you need to get up at 6 to do that.
Even earlier than that, because like I have got a little notebook next to my bed, and you don't switch off as an entrepreneur.
No.
You dim the light, but you don't switch it off.
That's what we also try to explain. When you're
Your
entrepreneur,
brain doesn't stop.
Yeah, you're entrepreneur. It's a way of life. It's
like I
not
say,
a
it's like
job.
those down lights. It's got a dim switch, but it doesn't go off.
Doesn't go off. No.
No. So that's what I do. If I think of something, I write it down. If I need to contact someone, the one thing that I'm working on, because they say as an entrepreneur you need to be forward. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on pushing myself to ask for help.
Yeah, you've been very modest, because you're actually very good in hustling. Very good indeed. I mean, how important, Sam, is to hustle? I mean, as entrepreneurs, don't we hustle all the time?
It's a permanent on switch, actually, and not to the extent of being ruthless. But I think that when you're an entrepreneur, you're always thinking multiple streams. You're never thinking one-dimensional.
Yes.
Because you've given your creative brain a chance to run wild, over the course of your life. You haven't stayed in a rigid kind of, for example, corporate space or a governed space. So for me, hustling, when I say hustle, I mean like make it happen. We were chatting just briefly about being a problem solver. And being a hustler, you need to be a problem solver.
Yes.
Because you're going into territory that you don't have answers for or don't even know which questions to ask.
Yes.
Like you were saying, you weren't even aware of such a thing as a mentor when you started. But what I love is that you pushed through your fear. I heard you twice mention being overly humble or shy in terms of social media. And in terms of kind of putting yourself out there, I can relate to that as well, because I used to think that it's bragging to put anything about yourself on social media. And I mean, obviously each person can backtrack and see where that comes from. But I'm actually in a season now where I'm also stepping into an identity that is confident, that is not just behind the scenes. And that's part of networking, hustling, putting yourself out there, but staying authentic. And I want to just give that back to you. How have you found the process of staying authentic while trying to hustle and network and get deals and stuff? How do you center yourself in terms of integrity, who you are in your personality? Because this journey, let's just be honest, you can be swept away with it, with the money, with the networking, with the contacts. Before you know it, a week's gone by and you haven't actually, really looked at yourself properly in the mirror to say, hey, what are you doing here?
Yes.
So how do you find that balance? How did you push through your fear? And how do you find now to promote yourself without feeling like you're bragging?
It all takes me, every time when I go through something in my business, when I'm faced with challenges, when there is a shark in sheepskin, you over time you kind of become aware and you can identify what and who it looks like and how they speak very fast, you know, very fast, and they want an answer now. I'm the type of person, like, I'm not shy, but I'm quite conservative, and I listen, and I don't like loudness. And whenever I go through anything and being given an opportunity, I go back to my why.
Oh, okay.
Why did I start this?
Yeah.
What is the purpose that I am trying to drive here?
So that's your compass.
Yes, like, you know, because like you say, you will be flooded with so many things that might compromise your ethics, your values. And if you don't go back to, it's the same in marriage. You know, when you get married and you go through all of these things, and no marriage is perfect. Trust me. You know, me and my husband, we've had disagreements, but then it takes one person to sit down and be calm and say, listen, you know, this is what we're going through. Why are we going? And you go back to that why. Why did I get married?
I like that. Yeah.
Why? I loved you. That is what you were. You haven't changed. Maybe you've grown. And I say, I always compare being an entrepreneur to a pregnant woman.
Okay, now that's interesting.
I need to hear this.
I need to hear this. I haven't heard that one before, yeah?
Because when you have a baby with a person that you love, okay, you start your first trimester, you are nauseous, and you go through all of these things. Second trimester has its own challenges. Third one, your ankles, your nose, and everything starts swelling up. You don't feel like wearing clothes anymore. And then you won't go and abort that baby. You're not going to give it up because you want to see what that baby is going to look like at the end of the term. So you are going to do as a mother everything in your power with passion and love to protect that baby. And entrepreneurship or your business or brand should be treated the same way.
That's an interesting comparison.
You're going to go through. You're going to go through all of these challenges.
Yeah.
And like one of my favorite quotes also is that a singer, but she's passed on. She said, "Don't you want to see what happens when you don't give up?"
Well, that's very powerful.
And like when you have a baby also, like imagine you're going to be reckless and you start drinking, you're going to lose the baby, and then you're never going to see because you did all of those things. The same like with your business. If you're going to get into unlawful or unethical things and you're going to break your name and break your brand, you won't know what it was going to look like, you know. That's
a very interesting analogy. But it brings me to this point where you talk about the ups and downs, right? And we all know that as entrepreneurs, that when we go through the journey, we have our ups and downs. Even myself, I've been around the block a few times, that I still have that. And we, as entrepreneurs, we go through the process where we're saying, what on earth am I doing? Okay. And I'm sure you had many times those kind of moments where you thought, geez, what am I doing? Okay. Explain how you dealt with that. So it's all nice when you're up and you're getting recognition that you deserve, and you know, the premier mentions you, and I mean, you're quite a rock star entrepreneur if you the things that you've achieved. And I know you're very humble, and I'll have to drag it out of you to actually tell us what you've done. But so when you went through times when you're thinking, okay, and you say the why you did it, how did you cope up? How did you get out of that situation where you were feeling, okay, this is not working? I don't know if I should carry on. If I made the right decision. How did you handle it?
So, like, it still happens, you know.
Exactly,
Whenever something big is about to happen, I take a moment and I sit, and I won't tell anybody, but I'll say to myself, do I even know what the F I'm doing? How? And then I sit still, and because I'm also very spiritual. Okay. And then I tell myself, there's no way that God would have given me this gift if he didn't wanted me, or if he didn't know where I was going to take it. You know, he has given it to me. I was the perfect person. He chose me, And so he knows I must just have faith.
Okay.
And that for me is the most powerful thing, is to believe and to have faith in your creator, the universe, or whoever it is that you believe in. Because that at the end of the day, it's between you and God. One of the things also that I want to mention is that in my industry, being a clothing manufacturer, one of the challenges that I'm still facing up today is that I don't have any tertiary education in dressmaking or design.
Okay.
Or I didn't have. I have now. Because I registered with CETA and I got myself accredited as a facilitator, assessor and moderator and the whole truth. But starting my journey, being accepted in that pool of, it's like you're not a lawyer, but you're going to a party where all these lawyers are hanging out and they're talking a certain language and they're dressing a certain way, and you're trying to mingle yourself in there, but they keep on pushing you out because you're not a dressmaker or you're not a designer, because you didn't attend this varsity and you didn't attend this design school. Or where do you come from? You know, and that was the thing that made me feel the most out of everything. Like I wasn't belonging. Like I needed to show you, I do belong here. I'm going to take my space. I'm going to show you. I'll take it even better. That was my biggest challenge as an entrepreneur. The other thing also is that as a Muslim, you know, in my faith, some people perceive it that if you do clothes, that you only have to make for a certain religion clothes. And I'm breaking that, because, you know, it doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you're not wearing clothes. I'm selling a brand.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that is what I believe or that is my faith or whatever. And you would go to these markets that is maybe at these religious venues and things, and people would look at you like you're literally a fly. Because
As in ostracize you for designing outside of your community.
Yes.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
Okay.
You know.
So that's real.
It is so real.
Yeah.
And some of them attended, you know, design schools and whatever, and then they would like look at you literally from up and down, like, where do you think you're coming from, ma'am? You know, who told you to be here? And you would,
how do you get to be here?
And you book markets, and the one that's organizing it, you know, they're giving the clan that belongs to the clan, they would like give them the nice spaces, and on a rainy day they'll put you outside and say, oh, you know, there's a nice spot outside for you, and they'll put you outside because you're venom.
Wow.
That for me was the biggest challenges.
Okay.
Not anything in my house or, you know.
The people in your own industry not supporting you.
Yes. Wow. And it's like, I say that we could all be designing the same clothes. If it was put out for you, it'll come to you. You know, people talk about evil eye. I don't believe in things like that. I believe that there is nothing that God has put out for you that anybody can take away. Because then you're questioning your higher power, you know, because then you don't believe. Because if you're saying to me that if you hate on me and it's going to fall, then my business is going to go down because you're hating on me, then I'm saying you God. I'm
giving
saying,
that power.
No, I'm sorry. No.
So, at what stage you decided now that you're going to form your own foundation? So you started your business reluctantly initially, and you went through the journey, and you started with the business and hustling and building your company. And then there was a stage that you decided, okay, I'm going to now start training people in your industry. Talk a little bit about this. What was the trigger that brought you to that point, and how did you progress from there?
So then once again, you know, I was going to University of Stellenbosch, and they told me, okay, now you need to be profitable before you can do this whole donating dress thing. And of course, of how I started my business and how I discovered my talent, I still felt indebted to my community. I grew up in that community. I lived there all my life, and some of the people that was at school with me and that played with me are now drug addicts and gangsters, and And that somehow affected me, because I think that everybody should have a beautiful life. And, you know, then I was at the university and I stopped giving out dresses. But then I started focusing, because then they told us, focus on a product that you see the need is growing. And at the time, matric balls was growing because children was making like it's, you know, a 21st or a wedding. I then started focusing mostly on matric dance dresses. I obviously got in contact with more matric girls, dealing with them, making these dresses. And in the new year, when the results come out, I would phone them. Did you pass? Are you going to study further? Can you find a job? And in most cases, you know, they can't find a job. They don't have a skill. They don't have experience. They don't have money for tertiary education. And in the sad cases, some of them has been affected by teenage pregnancies. And that bothered me, because I came from a household where my father was education Hitler.
Oh, was okay. Yeah.
He would literally go and sell an organ for you to go and study further.
Okay.
And reading, all of those things are very important things for me in growing your personal self. And it just bugged me that, you know, every year all of these children, they finish matric, and then what happens? You drive around the corner, someone sits there, you drive that way. You know, it just didn't sit right with me. Then again, one day I was sitting on my laptop and my husband walked past, and I just like, by the way, mentioned to him, I said, I want to do something more. You know, I don't just want to give a dress to a girl because it's not long-term sustainable. Yes, it's nice for the evening and, you know, you're helping the parents, but I want to do something that is going to contribute to long-term sustainability. And a lot of people disagree with me when I say, I don't like food or soup kitchens. Because we're teaching our people to be dependent on that, and we're not teaching them to become self-sustainable and independent. And he walked past me and he said, why don't you become a teacher? You like to talk.
Your husband?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And I thought, a teacher? And I Googled, you know, matric pass rate and dropouts and all of that. And somehow it just popped up, teenage pregnancies. An article on the Independent Online said 1/3 of girls between the age of 15 and 20 falls pregnant every year in Cape Town.
Wow.
And I was like, where? You know? How? And again, I spoke to myself. I like to have staff meetings in my head.
Oh, it's
Those are the
how many
best.
people are in there?
Lots, eh? There's lots.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, what if I take this skill? Because you can make money. You know, the industry is busy dying out. A lot of the people in the industry, it's older people. They're going to become pensioners one of these days. We don't show the youngsters the potential that this industry has anymore. And if we don't, you know, we are going to let the cheap imports
take over.
take over.
Which they have.
Yeah, well, we're going to hit them out again just now. So, and I then thought, okay, I want to start a sewing skills training school from my house, Dave, with 2 machines in my garage. No mat, no tiles, ice cold.
Does this start during the Stellenbosch University?
No, that was in 2018.
After? Okay.
That was in 2018. And I said to my husband, you know, I'm going to do this thing. He said, but where are you going to get girls? I said, no, I'll put it on Facebook. I put it on Facebook, and I set my garage up. My husband still painted it nicely for me. I got those chairs and 2 machines. The first day of that I advertised it, and you know, the registration day, my whole garage was full of girls.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Full. And it so happened also that I went to a, what is it called? A function, networking thing, but it was in aid of children that couldn't read. It was a perfectly posh high tea. Before I started the foundation, I went to that, and I then told one of the ladies that was sitting next to me that this is what I want to do. And then there was another designer who was showcasing her clothing. And then they said, if anybody, whatever you're wearing, if you want to come up and tell your story about what you are wearing, you can go up. And I wasn't going to go up because that's not me. You know, me sitting here, me talking on a stage, that's literally pushing myself out of my comfort zone for the name of Design 26. If they had to say, Suraya Williams, go up there, I won't. So if they say Design 26, go up there, because I'm like two different...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personas. It's like an alter ego.
I went up there. I didn't go up there. And this woman that I told my story to, she was like pushing me off the chair, like, go, go, go. And she was actually an American that was at that function. And, you know, they're loud. And she was like, oh. I was like, no, I'm not going to go. And one of the Cape Argus's, one of their journalists were there, and she saw this commotion, and she came close, and she's like, why don't you go up? You know, why don't you? And this woman was saying, you have to listen to her story. You have to listen on how she started a business and what she's planning. And then she took my number, and she wanted to do an article. She phoned me the next day. She said, I want to do an article about, you know, how you started Design 26. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know, what do you want to know? This is how I started. And the next day, it was in the newspaper, in the Argus. And I sent my husband, and he went to go and buy 5 copies, you know, one for everybody, and came back. And as I was like going through the newspaper, I saw a message popping up in Facebook Messenger. Now, you know, if you're not friends with someone on Facebook
like
and
a
they send
request.
you, then
Yeah.
it's a request. And I saw this guy's name, and I was like, and I still said to my husband, okay, who's this now again who saw a nice face in the newspaper, and now we want to chat me up. My husband said, open it and see who it is. Open it up, and it was some guy from the SABC3 Espresso show.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, they've just read my article in the Argus, and they would like to come and do a feature on our first day, or our first registration day.
Wow.
The first day of registration, my garage was full of people. You know, the SABC3 Espresso show guys showed up. They interviewed me, they interviewed the girls and whatever. And he said, thank you very much, and we will let you know once it's going to be aired. And weeks went by. I think that was in March. Weeks, and then it was July. And one morning, I was still busy packing my kids' lunch, and my mother-in-law phones like shouting and screaming like, you on the TV? I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, put on the TV. And then I have my son's teacher messaging me, oh, I see you on the TV. And I switch the TV on, and, you know, there. And it wasn't just because I was on the TV. I think it was the title that did it for me, that just made me drop down, and I started crying because it was the Mandela Monday hero. So they featured me
Okay.
as the Mandela Monday hero, and that for me meant a
quite an
lot.
honor, yeah.
Yes, and from there, you know, it just grew. And once again, also, I went out. I didn't know anything about facilitating or anything, and you asked people, and people would say to you, "Oh, it's difficult." That's the first thing. It's a lot, and you won't be able
The
to because you need to
naysayers.
do this,
Yeah,
and you
there's
need to
always the
do
naysayers, yeah.
and you need to do that. But I'm like this. If you tell me, even as a child, I was a rebel. You know, my parents or someone tell me you can't go there, you can't do it. I'm going to do it because I want to know for myself
Yeah.
what's happening there. And I don't take like that kind of things as I'm going to find out. I want to see if it's really difficult. And one of the networks, also through going for trainings and networking things, and one of the ladies, she's got a training school in town called MI Learning. And I approached her. I had a number. I didn't really know her well. I messaged her and I said, Munira, I want to do a facilitation course. How do I do it, and what does it cost? And she's like, it's 4,800 Rand, but just come. Don't worry about the money. Just come. I said, are you sure? Because I want to do this, you know, and I need to do this because I want to get my accreditation. She said, Suraya, don't worry. I know, I've been there. I know what it feels like not to get help and people to show you. And I will take you through this whole process. And I did that. And I went there and I got the certificates and all of that. And in life also, I think that our mindsets should be changed. That a piece of paper doesn't say anything about your capabilities. You know, I can go for an interview, I can give you my CV, and I can dress myself all nice. It's not that counts.
No.
It's when I actually start putting in the work that you can see
Yeah.
what I'm capable. And so that irritates me, is that everywhere where you go, that red tape or roadblock is being put in front of you. Do you have this paper? Do you have that paper? Do you have this? Do you have that?
But you've overcome all of that.
I have.
Completely.
But you know, not everybody is as resilient.
Yeah.
You know, some people, they give up. And it's not because they didn't have a good business idea. It's just maybe they weren't forceful enough. Maybe they didn't know the right people. They didn't network or get to go to network events. They didn't know about a mentor. You know, they didn't have a supportive family structure.
So getting back to the foundation, tell me now, so now it's been about 4 years, 4 or 5 years
Yes.
that foundation is going through. How many people have you got through the foundation where you've actually trained them to be seamstress? And in fact, some of them have become entrepreneurs in their own right.
Yes.
So how many more or less and
So I've been limited because of the space that I've been working in. Because starting in my garage, you know, I soon outgrew it, and then we had a little separate apartment that we built when I left my job as an income for me, because I was still scared I wasn't going to have money or asking for money. And so we had this little separate apartment. And when this thing now blew up, you know, I said to my husband, I want to rent that space from you. I won't be able to give you everything, but I'll give you half. Other half I'll pay you in kind.
Family discount.
pay in kind?
Pay in kind.
Yeah, I'm sure you accepted that offer. That was offer you can't refuse.
And so I moved up, and I then, you know, got more machinery. I then asked another NGO called Muslim Hands. I sent letters out, you know, saying that I only have these 2 machines and I am looking for more machinery. They donated 8 machines. I also won an award in 2019 with Cape Talk and the Dis-Chem Random Act of Kindness, where I won 80,000 Rand. I was able to then buy more equipment, like, you know, scissors and all of those things. And the question was...
Well, how many people have you put through the
so
foundation?
I've trained 180 girls up until last year. This year we've put it on hold because of load shedding.
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand that I cannot give training if I don't have electricity.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot work on a schedule that Eskom puts out every day. One day it's from 10 till 12, tomorrow it's from 8 till 10. So if you have to come for training and there's no electricity, you're going to get irritated because you've wasted now your petrol or transport or all of that. So,
well, on that point, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but on that point, would a generator help?
it depends on the size, and I think I need like more than one, because
Okay.
this is industrial sewing
So
machines.
2 generators, or
Probably.
the size. Well, I'm just putting a shout out there if there's anybody listening that's prepared to donate for a
Generators.
massive course in training people to upskill themselves. Please contact us, and we would gladly facilitate a situation where you
Yes,
that
I would
you
appreciate
that you
that.
can actually
Continue.
and not be
My
beholden
heart
to.
was breaking when you said, you know, you had to put it on hold.
Yeah.
And remember when we started the convo, the Premier had come to evaluate what the impact was.
Yeah, but that was in 2018.
Yes, but
2019.
You're still, like you say, you're still grappling
Yes.
with it. But I mean, this is an effect that it's having such a negative effect.
And it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Like, you know, 4 hours.
So now it's not just impacting the business income; it's impacting the training and
training,
launching
yeah.
Yes.
of entrepreneurs and matriculants. They
And
don't-
there's like a whole lot that is finished
it
school
piles
now.
up every year. It piles up.
And like normally my registration would start December and January, and the first classes would be in February. And
So
I
you
have
haven't done
people-
anything now?
I can't.
Okay, so
Because
listen.
when you're running a training, it's like a school. You know,
Yeah.
you have a timetable. We have classes from this time to that time. And I'm going to get irritated. People's going to get irritated because they're going to come and we're not going to have electricity. And I feel that it's just going to throw me completely off.
So if there's anybody listening on our base, on our respective bases, that wants to either assist with a generator, a large one for, it sounds like,
or two,
or wants to contribute towards a generator,
that would be helpful.
Please reach out to us. It's a worthy cause. You are a registered Section 18A.
Yes, we can also give you
a certificate that you can claim for tax, but the priority would be just to so that your foundation can actually get going this year.
Yeah.
So please contact us if you feel generous and you want to put some money to a worthy cause.
Yes.
All right. So now, okay. So, well, I'm glad you actually shared with that. So that maybe through this podcast we can assist you in getting that going. Tell me then. You mentioned some of the awards. Okay, I know you've got plenty of other awards. Just share with us the awards.
I want to hear the highlights.
No, don't be shy. Just tell us
The fancy stuff.
The fancy stuff that you've achieved.
Okay, so I'm going to have to think back now. So that was 2018. I got the Discam Random Act of Kindness. I was also nominated for ShopRite. We Act for Change. And that was also like, a voucher that I could go and buy, because with the training, you need like a POE file where all the evidence goes in of the things that they do, paper. And
like a little logbook.
I could buy all of those things. And after the premier met me, he invited me to the SOPA. That was in 2018.
He actually mentioned your name while he was doing his speech.
Yes, because he was talking about, people from local communities stepping out of corporate and taking what they have and using that as a catalyst for change in their communities. And I think that the message that he was trying to bring over was to say that it doesn't matter where you come from or what you have. You can take those resources and you can not just help yourself, but also help people in your community. And on the second occasion, he then invited me again to the SOPA, and that was when I made his wife's dress, and the deputy speaker's dress. And I was also...
Well, I know that you won an award by Woolies, I think.
No, it was the Cape Clothing and Textile Cluster. So I won an award there for high impact in my community and the impact that I have on my community. I was also a finalist for the Fair Lady and Santam Women of the Future in the social entrepreneurship category. I was what do you call it? A finalist in there.
Yeah. What I remember something about the Woolworths. You got
so Woolworths was with the Cape Clothing and Textile Cluster.
It was sponsored by
yes.
Woolworths.
So it was like a Dragon's Den where we had to go and present our businesses and pitch your product, because like they are interested in small
and I'm
businesses
sure that
and
in
scaling.
itself, that experience in itself just gave you that more confidence as well.
Yes.
Like you actually doing something that's making an impact and not seeking the recognition, but the recognition gets you more exposure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like if I look at myself from where I've started to where I am now, I think that emotionally I have grown more than the bank account. Because in the beginning, I would say, I've got a small business. No, I'm just working there. I'm only doing that. And I have gained the confidence, and I think that I am worth it now. And I don't set myself short anymore. This is who I am. A lot of people don't understand me, because your normal entrepreneur would be, here's this product, buy this product, I make money, I grow, For me, there is nothing that I can do without empowering my community.
Wow.
My business has got no legs to stand on if I don't do what I'm doing, because then I'm defeating the why. And people will tell me, focus on this and only do this. And when I started the business and I wanted to start the foundation, they said, no, just focus on the company, you know, because that's the typical entrepreneurship route, and that's not me. I do things differently. I follow my heart.
Yeah.
I don't go after money. I believe in people, and I believe that if you try and change people, money will come with it.
I absolutely agree with you.
That money shouldn't just be for your self-benefit. God has blessed me with a good husband, with beautiful, intelligent children. I live in a beautiful house in a nice area, and I think the reason why He gave that to me is to give it forward.
Which brings me to the next topic, because we need to wrap up. And
Can't
make it all three.
It's
We-
been
we can carry on. Okay, we got from our producer Nantul saying
we've
carry on.
been given some airtime.
Some airtime. So, talking about giving back.
Yes.
Please tell us this amazing, exciting project that
Yeah,
you.
I myself. I feel like I want to dance on the table.
Well, you must welcome. I'm sure that's all. That is okay. So tell us about this phenomenal project that we're going to get involved as well.
So, from the beginning, in 2015, when I went to University of Stellenbosch, we were told to draw up a business plan. My business plan that time, because I looked at it the other day, and I like have this intermittent crying when I like, oh my God, I can't believe this is true. And I looked at my business plan, and I haven't diverted the why in. Yes, I went like this, and I met like that, and I came back. But that same purpose is still there, to be the first in-house or to be the first manufacturing plant in Mitchell's Plain with an in-house training center. That was in my business plan in 2015, and it's taken me this short time
I like
to
that.
get that. And I've applied for a piece of land, a vacant piece of land, 4 years ago, with the city of Cape Town, and it was a very lengthy, tedious process.
Yeah.
A lot of red tape, but I managed to stumble over that.
Yes.
And last week, Monday,
Yes.
I got an email to say that the property is finally being signed off to Design 26 Foundation.
Wow.
I sent it to you.
What
the
birthday present.
a sale agreement. They actually had the council meeting on my birthday.
So the decision was made.
On the 26th.
Yes, on the
It was-
26th of January, they had the
Come
council
on.
meeting.
come on, really?
And I watched it, and when I saw all of them,
amazing.
saying that they agree, because it's obviously different political parties that had to agree, and they all did, except for the EFF, who believes that everybody must get everything
did they
for
want
free.
the chunk of land?
No, they want it for free. I don't believe in giving things free. If you need to give a little bit.
You have to have skin in the game.
Yeah. So the city of Cape Town, they're selling this land to me at a ridiculously reduced price.
Yeah. You're the master hustler.
It's I do it in style.
No, you so do it in style.
I like
Because,
your bling that you're wearing today.
Yeah,
Did you read what it said?
I did. I've read it all the time, and I thought I'd bring it up before we end the show. It's noteworthy. I love it. Did you
Well,
read it?
no,
You
you-
should.
no, I couldn't,
It's
yeah.
mirror balls still shine, even though they are broken into 1,000 pieces.
wow. That's amazing.
It's a song of Taylor Swift.
yeah.
And she says that, a mirror ball is like 1,000 pieces of broken glass, but it still
Yes,
shines.
Still shines.
Oh,
So-
powerful. Okay, so come
Okay,
back.
yes.
Come
So
back.
we
Come back to
we
this
we
property.
we
You say you got a
signing
property.
we're signing the sale agreement.
Yes.
And before I even got the sale agreement, I was looking for service providers. Because I'm like a one step ahead. This thing should have be done like 2 years ago, and I was still waiting. So I've lost like a lot of people also that wanted to invest in it. But I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to go and look for more people again.
Yes.
And you were the only one that actually believed in me up until today. You know,
Me?
that waited.
Yeah.
You know, the others all thought, okay, this woman's mad. You know, she's talking about a property and it's never coming.
Yeah.
So then I got the sale agreement. It's now sent back and they need to sign it, and then I'm going to sign it, and then it's going to go through the whole transfer duty process with deeds office, and I have to pay 10% deposit, and then I have to give the full amount for the piece of land, and then we're going to be developing it. We don't have no money yet.
Not yet.
We're looking,
Not yet.
We're looking
We will.
we're looking
Sam,
for
we're gonna
lots
help you.
of money.
If you could just briefly list the type of assistance and aid that you're needing at this point. Now, knowing you're
Okay.
acquiring the land, it's
Yes.
happening.
So now the first thing that I would need is a land surveyor. I got an architect. So before the sale agreement came even through, you know, I sent out emails to like a whole lot of architects. And the one guy got back to me. His name is Kunal. And he's from a company called Root Architecture.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he came back to me and he was interested, and he said, you know, I'd like to meet you. I'd like to know what it is you are doing and get involved. And I want to know why is it that you're doing. And he came and he met me. And he's been also, you know, following up on the process with this land that needed to come through. And when I told him last week, you know, it's now finally happened, we're getting the land and whatever, he sent me a proposal to review yesterday. And
Which I must share this because it's
can we share it together?
So I opened the attachment and I see this architect, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm mindful about costs, and that, so I open it up and the drawing's very professionally done, and so I'm scrolling, reading, standard.
And you can't wait to get to the numbers part.
So I'm looking, I'm looking. It sounds, this looks very expensive stuff, you know. Look, and I look, and I look again, and the whole thing, the architecture, the drawings, the actual supervision, because the architects actually supervise the building, etc. The whole thing, Suraya managed to hustle pro bono. It's just unbelievable.
You are a hustler of note.
It's like a serious hustler.
he said to me before that because that's the email that I sent out, is to ask for pro bono service. And when he sent me this actual document, because that's when it looked legit, you know, I said to him again, when I emailed him back, I said, I don't even know how to put what I feel in words, because
Yes.
I can just cry and people know how I feel, because I love crying, you know,
That's amazing. So you've got an architect, you need a surveyor, a quantity surveyor.
The land surveyor is the most important thing,
land
and then the
surveyor.
quantity surveyor, and then a project manager, and like a whole. That's about all that I know of now.
Okay, well, guys, if they're land surveyors and those kind of professionals on our base,
I
go
think even
follow the architects and do it all pro bono, please.
So maybe I must also just say, you know, the impact that this is going to have
Yes,
on
please.
the community.
Yes, please.
Because it's all good and well asking for something and people don't know, yes, you know my story, you know what I'm doing, but what is it doing for my people? What is the impact, and what am I trying to break? What barriers am I trying to break? So we're looking at a girl finishing matric, sometimes not even finishing matric. Some of these girls, they drop out of school, not just teenage mothers, but also because the mom's the only breadwinner, single mom, eldest daughter or son needs to leave school because they must now look and take the siblings to creche and wherever. So you're sitting with a community full of unemployed youth. Not everybody wants to do sewing, you know, but I want to make this like an entrepreneurship hub. with the sewing skills training. And then while I'm giving you the sewing skills training, I'm looking at barriers that is stopping you from going and empowering yourself. What are those barriers? If you live in a poor community and you're getting 350 Rand government grant, what can you buy? My eldest son eats that up in 2 days. So if I look at you're a teenage mom, or you unemployed, you're sitting at home. In order for you to go and get yourself a skill, you need to go to Woodstock, Salt River, Town, Mowbray, wherever. You have a 350. If I'm a human, I am a human, I'm not an alien. Are you going to buy food first, or are you going to use money for traveling to go and get yourself empowered? You're going to buy
food. It's basic needs, yeah.
How are you going to get there? Where does the traveling come from? How you need to look presentable. You're not going to want to go into a world where there's a lot of people from different communities all dressed up coming for skills or whatever. So those are the things. The other thing that we are problematic in my area is that moms are forced to leave their children with neighbors and cheap daycares and ECDs. And what happens to the babies? They get molested, raped and killed and whatever, because where you're leaving the child at the neighbor's place, the uncle, whoever is a drug addict or alcoholic, and he molests your child. So you're not going to want to leave maybe the child by the neighbor. So you're stuck at home with your 350 Rand and there's no hope. Design 26 Foundation is giving young girls that hope, where I want to have a small little ECD on my premises. If you have a little baby or child, I want to have transport. If you are working mom working for Design 26 and your child finishes school at 12 o'clock, we'll have a driver that collects your child safely with sober habits, not getik. Bring your child back to the premises. We'll have somebody there that can assist your child with their homework. And when you leave Design 26 Foundation or the manufacturing plant tonight, your child, their homework is done, they are safe, and you're going back home. Transport will be provided for my girls that I'm training, my staff. I want people to feel like
ACEs,
they are. It's like
a taxi type of transport dedicated
yes
to the students at the training center.
And so their children.
It's a design school. It's a place of employment and entrepreneurship. It's a safe place for the kids. This is huge.
This is huge.
And like,
this
huge. I'm saying, I'm training these young girls, and some of them don't want to start their own businesses. And those that are, and that wants to start their own businesses, I want to have or partner with other businesses or people that offers entrepreneurship skills, and start from the basics, the bottom, finances.
Yes.
I want people to get what I didn't get. The doors that were closed to me, I want to open to those people.
Wow.
We're not going to tell people that it's difficult and they won't be able to. We're going to tell them even if we see it's not going to work, even if it's going to work for a month, we'll make them believe it's going to work. Because also when you have self-belief, a lot of things can go right.
It shifts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's when your mindset tells you it's not going to.
The mindset's so important.
Know.
Yeah.
That's
No,
quite
maybe-
a fight, though.
Maybe I
it is a
mustn't go
fight.
because maybe it's not going to work out because Suraya said
It's
no.
a constant battle in your mind that you have to fight. You
Yes.
know? And
But if you
so-
motivate someone and you believe in someone, and
that
I tell my
space,
children,
yeah, it's so important that you do that to your kids.
and you show them love.
Yeah,
and I can do that with my staff too. We don't need to be I'm the boss and you the worker, and no,
Well,
they must love to come to work.
I hope that the organisation is going to be helping you with entrepreneurship. Is us, come on.
Yes,
Of course, I mean that should be us. Yeah.
I mean, I always believe trust for me is very important. I trust openly. I trust very easily. I don't give my mind. I give my heart. But if you break that trust, then I don't. I will. It'll take a long time for me to trust you again. I believe in being ethical. I believe in doing things right and being transparent. Even with my little learnership staff that I have, I will tell them we need to work. If it's load shedding, try and do things that we can't do during load shedding. You know, this is how much I have in my account. Help me. They assist me with my social media things and whatever. And I say to them, if I make money in the business, you are growing with the business. This is not my business. This is our business.
Well,
A real
how
social
inspirational
impact
is this, Sam?
entrepreneur. Yeah,
This is
I just
so-
hear heart.
Oh, my
And
word.
the money has followed. And so will the right partners for your new venture. I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
You're in good hands with Dave as well. I can't wait to get you back on the show and hear what the progress has been and how many land surveyors came out of the corners of Cape
I'm
Town.
sure it's all going to be pro bono.
I think I'm gonna be a qualified project manager when all of this is
I
done.
I'm
believe
sure
so.
you will be. I'm sure will be. So on that note, we have to say goodbye.
Yes.
And Suraya, it's been a real pleasure and honor.
It's
to
always
have
a
you
pleasure
here.
also speaking to you, Dave, and nice to meet you,
Beautiful,
Sam.
beautiful story.
Beautiful
Thank you.
story, inspirational, and next week we're going to be talking about overcoming worry. Okay, and
I'll listen.
Listen, and it's a very strong topic. Everybody worries. Some people worry more than others, and we're going to give a podcast on how to overcome it. A practical application of what we've learned over the years to overcome that kind of situation. So, from Sam.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. And looking forward to seeing you next week. I've had a blast. Today, I was actually in my zone because I'm more of a listener than a talker. But obviously having a guest on the show, I think it's just so valuable for the entrepreneurs out there to hear real life, ongoing entrepreneurs and what they're doing in terms of impact.
So Suraya, once again, thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Nantel,
you.
thank you so much for
Thank you, Nantel. You've
for
been quiet.
being a bit quiet. And on that note, I'll say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.